Hi everyone, welcome back, and to us talking to all these fabulous people who make all this wonderful wine. Deb and John, Edible Portland.
Growing the grapes.
And we're with Kayla and Robert, and they are Botaneity. What's the last name? I apologize. You were
Lauer.
Lauer.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's Botaneity.
John talks about Botaneity at least twice a week. And
Well, thank you, John.
Yeah, he does.
Sure.
It comes up at least twice a week, and he's always been quite fond of your wine, and I have too, but he's drank more of it than I have, but only because he had more opportunity.
Well, that and just as we were talking about, everything, we're going to talk about being here today and why this is important. But also for you guys, and don't worry y'all, we are going to go down with the cameras and everybody, and we'll spend some time
Good.
to go to the farm, the new farmhouse,
Yeah. Can't wait.
the candles, the bees, the
Yes.
ceramics,
Yeah.
the food, the yoga class, the lifestyle, the thing going on, the movies and the vineyard, and the
Yes,
popcorn,
so many things.
making the tiara crowns.
Yes.
I mean, it's just
Foil crowns.
all the stuff that you guys are doing. And I remember when we first met and the whole thing, and I remember when we first met and like at every tasting, hashtag any wine mixer. You're welcome, Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
Yeah, I mean, it was like the eggs that were there, and the this and the that. I'm like, it's a farm, man. Yeah, there's grapes, but there's critters and
Yes.
stuff,
Yes. Lots of
and
dirt,
like that system, that ecosystem is there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's so rad, and it's just so clear your commitment, dedication, and like the practices. You're just like the whole
To the earth.
to the earth, and the community, and the thing.
Well, I appreciate that resonated because it's certainly a work in progress, and
Major work.
it's a continuous evolution for the two of us to embrace these opportunities and kind of engage with it as fully as we have time for.
And I mean, I think like the dynamic is really fun too, because on the forefront of the brand, Robert is the more rugged aspect and I'm the more polished aspect. And what I mean by that is that Robert's growing and making the wine and I'm doing the labels and the marketing. But really, more historically speaking, I come from a farm background and he does not. So when we're talking about things like the sheep and the chickens and all these different aspects that we like to implement within the farm and the brand, I kind of have to be the one to say that like the beauty of farm life is that it is imperfect, and it's okay to start and try and do and then learn from that. Where Robert is a little bit more like, no, we need to like learn from other people and then make it perfect the first time around. And of course you can bring inspiration from other people, but the beauty of farm life is that it is imperfect and it is trying, and you just do the thing, and the chickens will be fine, and the sheep will be fine, all the things will be fine. You just have to do it and take care. And yeah, so we have an interesting dynamic, a nice like yin and yang and nice contrast, I think.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that, since we started this venture a year ago, that in almost every conversation comes up community, and I think that's what he would be talking about, is talking to your peers about
Yes.
what's working, what's not working. Oh, I found this on my grapes, what is it, and what do I do about it? And
Absolutely.
Is this coffee clutch of
Well,
40-ish plus of you.
honestly, too, and like how welcome it wasn't. It was completely welcoming. Nobody thought that they knew more than anyone else. Everybody's working different size pieces of land and coming from all works of the industry. And so the fact that we're able to collaborate as well as we have is definitely foreign to me. I mean, I even came from a military background. So doing some of the things wasn't as near as collaborative as they made you think it was.
Yeah.
And so this is really eye-opening and exciting. Like most of us have kids, and so fostering that development of genuine community in a place where it's become a bit of a melting pot too,
Yeah.
right? So people moving from all over and bringing whatever body of knowledge that is and being able to share with everybody.
That's so cool.
It is.
It's just so cool. Yeah, and here we are today celebrating something very, very, very cool. That's like this idea of taking that community and, tides and all ships rising, the sharing of that.
Yeah.
Salon, I think, is a word,
It's so important.
And the idea of, okay, let's get this together, let's take this to the people. Let's get them out there. And I know the other media people are here today, and we were very lucky to be able to be here all day and to be able to do this.
Absolutely.
And talking to Drew earlier, although we didn't get him in here, but we'll figure it out somehow. But even like Rob from Limelson's just said, how do we get like the buyers up in Portland here and there and some of the other people connected to the growers, and maybe the winemaker, but the grower or the grower winemaker. So because people want to know, I'm like, they're into it, and the generation they're out there doing the stuff now is they want to hear the story. They want to know how you're farming. They want to know where it's coming from. Which is awesome that you guys have, because congratulations on growing that little thing from. Can we use part of the tasting room too? Let's just buy all of it. Let's just do it, so that people can actually go out there. I mean, I think about Alice Waters' Edible Classroom. It's like, boom, here's your classroom. Here's that educational opportunity. There it is, right there. Like this is happening.
Yeah.
And it's real, it's dynamic, it's organic without trying to be. We had too many puns today.
Oh my gosh, I'm
we've
sure.
We've been punning all day, But seeing that, as long as we've known each other and seeing how that has grown, but giving people a place to come out and connect, and dare I say, kind of disengage from our crazy. I know this is film and video, toxic technological digital life,
I think it also is ironic to. I hate to ever be disingenuous to that technological realm because we've engaged with it fully, and I don't think, to your point, the folks would know near or be interested in us near as much as they are had we not engaged with our label design and the tools that social media nowadays, and so catching up to or meeting the people where they're at is the biggest thing that I think we've engaged with, and I think I totally agree that people are excited about how things are made, what they're ingesting and all that stuff, but you gotta meet them where they're thinking beauty, they're thinking engagement, they're thinking fear of missing out sort of thing, and so like creating that culture without being pushy or
it's a marriage
exclusive.
of all of the things, and yes, we heavily promote inclusivity over exclusivity. That everybody should be able to attain something beautiful, something healthier than the more conventional options that are out there. That just the inclusivity of creating a sustainable, beautiful brand that people want to consume. They feel good about purchasing. Versus wine can very often be very exclusive, and we kind of want to be the anti-exclusive.
Intimidation factor.
Yeah, it's
Lots
very
of
intimidating
Yeah.
for people. On top of
Tony went through. I was intimidated. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah. And
No,
you're like,
I know.
it's agriculture, y'all.
It's just
it's
you're
like
just growing something.
pinkies down.
Yeah, exactly.
It's old grape juice.
You're literally just growing
It's
something
like-
and putting it in a bottle. Like, let's calm down a little bit. Like, there's a lot to be appreciated, but also there's no reason that anybody should be excluded from that appreciation. Everybody should be included and be able to access that beauty. And a healthier, more mindful version of that beauty too. That's the important aspect.
And that it starts there in the vineyard, but going back to
Yeah.
meeting people where they are with social media and where we are digitally, which is why we do these things. I mean, we have the seasonal print, but we have this other bit to be able to support and push to also help get people engaged, and that location is now not how many drive-through do you driveways, what's are the right-hand corner on this side, like where are you going to put your place, literally your physical location, like what's your address. It's here now. Location took on a whole new meaning.
Absolutely.
It's still true, but it's not Hollywood and Vine anymore. It is at fill in the blank. That is what it is. And thinking about being here today, the farming is such a part of it. Going back to what this, like why we're here and doing these things, because you guys are definitely a beacon of that. And what happens in the vineyard is what comes through, and having how do you tell that story? I mean, and how blessed we are to be able to help drive that and help use our platforms to tell that story and spread that for you guys.
Which we need. It's so essential. It's all this symbiotic relationships that we need each other to thrive. It's the only way to do it. So going back to that community aspect.
Going back to the community, going back to the ecosystem, going back to it's funny how we use all the same terms for all these things, from terra firma to us.
This comes from nature, and then we just we think that because we're humans that we've recreated these things. No, it comes from nature.
Yeah. Who'd have
we
thought?
rely on each other. Yeah.
As we sit here on Equinox Day after Equinox, whatever it is, it's like when people hear about biodynamic farming, what is it? And I'm like, well, I mean, you can do this or that, you can get into it as far as you want to or whatever. But, well, how does it work? I'm like, you know how tides work, man? What's...
You're kind of just going back to how things started to begin with.
That's
You're not recreating a new wheel. You're just kind of taking away all these layers that we as humans implemented for no reason other than just mass producing something.
Right.
But other than that, you just go back to the origin.
Yeah,
we did all that, messed it up, and called it progress.
Yes,
and now we're all sick and this and that.
Exactly.
It's real simple, man.
Yeah.
There's the sheep that go mow the grass. There's the thing. That's the this, that's the that.
I have a question about your wine, if we may, for a moment.
Yeah.
So, tell us about an experience where you had put the wine to rest and you're letting it, it's in the barrel and it's doing its thing, and then the first time that you pull off and you taste it, have you ever had that experience of oh my God, this is gonna be something else?
I feel like this was a setup, but
I'm sorry.
Ironically, the wine that you're having was based on that. So I didn't walk into the cellar one day and think of making a quasi-pink wine with a lovely tapestry on the label.
Yeah.
It was more... so what I've been doing in the cellar is now... taking away all the labels. So I'm not labeling any of the barrels. I'm not labeling where it came from so I'm not walking in with any preconceived notions to let's say the blending table. Right. And so this wine is a blend of 2 barrels, and it was more of a muscle memory of going through the cellar and tasting and thinking about what blend would actually meld and not only complement but elevate without pulling from the rest of the cellar. So it's always there's a lot of balancing acts to it, but there's plenty of gems to be found if you can kind of disseminate all the noise of elevation, barrel choice, the grower relationship that you have, all these things that are important, but when it comes to actually putting the wine in a bottle, really are are a disservice, I've found. And so engaging with each vintage that way, I feel, has not only kept me honest, but also been able to get Kayla excited. Because Kayla's not tasting through the cellar. Most people aren't tasting through the cellar with me, but if I can actually inspire my partner with what I bring to the table, then she in turn can go to work on her side of the coin and engage with it accordingly. And I think what has been great about our dynamic is how much the wine has really matched the label. Like a lot of, like we're not in all the markets, and even in the markets that we are in, we're not standing in front of you trying to tell you the merits of, we're reliant on you picking it of your own volition, right? I'm looking forward to you buying it again because you like the wine, but kind of matching those themes I think goes a long way with getting people excited about our brand.
Yeah.
But what is flabbergasting me in your answer is that's what that line said. You know what I'm saying? I picked that up and I thought,
Everything Rob just said.
But I had tasted, which is why I asked the question.
Yeah.
Because I thought, oh, there's something, let's see what this is.
Yeah.
And so I thought, you must have
And it's that
saw that and gone, oh my gosh, yes, look at this, let's do,
tell me I'm completely wrong, but it's that understanding, not control,
Right.
from the vineyard all the way through. Like because it starts here to get on you. It's like having that, maybe not even understanding, but that connection. I'm gonna go with connection.
Well, even to back up further, so this wine is a blend of Pinot Noir and Pinot Gris. And so I did direct press versions of both, but then the same Pinot Noir is what I made a red from, and this is all from the same vineyard. So the impetus was to see what does the vineyard, quote unquote, taste like, not what does the Pinot Noir taste like from this vineyard or the Pinot Gris from this vineyard. It was meant to be like, how can we find out what is actually being expressed from this place? Because most of the vineyards that we're sourcing from not only grow Pinot Noir, but a slew of other varieties.
Sure.
And so typically, on a typical basis, you're not blending your Chardonnay with your Pinot Noir per se, but this was an exploration of, in the vein of why not sort of thing. And I think
breaking out of those those weird hindering parameters that people are like, this is the only way to make something.
Right.
And then making something outside of that and people being like, oh my gosh, I love it.
Yeah.
And you know who has it figured out? It's the art and science people, because the name art and science is literally what you're working with every day. What you're talking about is the science, is the strict parameters, but the art is coloring outside of those strict parameters and what can you achieve by doing that. So I love that name, but what you're describing is that, and we have a 2.5-year-old, so thinking about this all the time. You can give them a coloring book that has a shape and they can color inside of it, or you can give them a blank sheet of paper and let them go crazy. And I kind of feel like taking away those parameters that you're talking about of like the vineyard, the grape, whatever, and just letting the wine speak for itself, and then deciding what it is and what it can be is the art aspect versus the science. And there's so much science that goes into it, of course, but finding that like marriage and going back to that like that contrast, that symbiosis, like all of that, and they work together.
Rolling the dice and keeping the notes.
Yes,
ironically, here's the thing, like I don't
careful
even
gambling.
the notes are more in the vineyard side. They aren't in the wine side these days.
Okay.
Well, as I was cutting my teeth, the notes were all over, and I kept track of them, but they never necessarily resonated with what I was tasting in the glass.
Yeah.
So like with the vineyard stuff, obviously it's notes with just tracking weather patterns, tracking like just the cultural practices that we're doing, whether it be pruning, whether it be canopy management, my spray programs, all of those things. We have to know those things. But with the wines, I've really kept it real loose on purpose. Now, to be fair, our brand is rather small, so I have that kind of luxury. So I'm not saying that one size fits all, but I really believe what has made our brand resonate to other folks is, picking out and making those unique blends.
Wow, this is delicious.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah, I
approachable.
mean, it's wonderful.
A little dangerous, maybe.
A little what
A little
dangerous?
Oh,
dangerous.
for sure.
Dangerous.
Oh, yeah. I'm like thinking, can I buy that bottle from you today?
It's going to be 77 on Tuesday. I'm like,
Exactly. That is the wine for Tuesday, for sure.
Lovely.
anything you guys want to say in our short little blip, on the day, here we are today, and why we're here, anything else you want to express knowing that we're headed down to the property?
Yeah, I suppose the first expression that I would have would be gratitude. I think being even in the room that we're in pouring amongst the different brands there were, more than half of them are heroes of mine that I've always looked up to, whether it be how they cultivated their brand or how they're continuing it, or the different innovations that they've done in the vineyard, and as well as gratitude being a part of this group, because again, I'm farming nuts to bolts. I'm only farming 4 acres, which is a blip in comparison to most of the folks in there. And I've only been farming, I converted the place to organics in 21. So that I don't even have a bit of a tenure. And so inviting me to the table wasn't necessarily like, well, great, we can hear what Robert has to say. And it wasn't about that. And that's what I'm so grateful about, that it wasn't about kind of gleaning from everybody. It was really everybody contributing. And my contributions may seem small in comparison, but it was exciting to talk about the pruning when the Simonet and Serge sort of boom was happening. Everybody was questioning the regime, and having that understanding about how I wanted to engage with the vineyard and being able to talk about that, I think that was a big opportunity, and I'm excited for it to continue, because I know there's folks that are coming out of Brian's program at Chemeketa who are eager to get out of the books and get into the dirt, and a platform like this where it's easily accessible, I think is not only going to raise everything, but like open people's eyes to it doesn't necessarily have to be grapes that you're focusing on. It can be focused on any part of this land that we're on, that we aren't taking away from when we pass. We're just stewards at the time. Right. So if they look at organics as a whole, as an important aspect of culture, life, I think that's the biggest thing I would be grateful about.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Very cool.
And
Absolutely.
sorry. And you, my dear.
No, I agree. I feel like the gratitude aspect is really big because, being amongst a lot of these people whom are inspiring, are maybe significantly more well-versed, or just have a longer reputation, and being welcomed by them is huge, and reminds me, on the way here we were reading a quote that talked about how, like, at the beginning you're super excited, and then somewhere in the middle you kind of fall into this lull of like, okay, the excitement has maybe worn off a little bit, but the finish line is still so far beyond sight that, like, now the only thing you have to rely on is like your bravery and your belief in your own self and what you're creating, and you need these kinds of events to remind you why you're doing what you're doing. And we're such a baby brand, we're so tiny, and so coming here and seeing this, it just kind of like revitalizes like your excitement and your inspiration. And then on top of it, just because I don't come from a wine background, and being able to introduce wine to my sister and my friends and my peers who also aren't from a wine background, saying like, here's a beautiful product that is also mindful, thoughtful, sustainable.
Exactly.
I think that like not everyone has to be quote unquote a wino
No.
to appreciate
Absolutely.
a beautiful wine or a beautiful beverage that is thoughtful and sustainable. And I just want that brought to light because I didn't know anything about wine when I met Robert. I will say point blank, and I still really don't. He teaches me everything that I do know. But I mean, I will openly say I was drinking barefoot wine when I met Robert. And no offense to barefoot, you probably can't put that on camera. Probably can't name drop. But I have learned so much, and I just think that like knowledge is power, and people just need to know. They just need to know what they're consuming. Like with anything else, like with an apple at the grocery store, it's the same thing with the bottle of wine. You need to know what you're putting in your body,
Right.
and you need to have access to it, and you need to have information, and then you're good. You're golden.
And that a percentage in the amount of people, farmers, fisher people, foragers, all of it, and the percentage of people, the public, our readers, our guests, your guests and customers that are dedicated to that and want to learn.
Yes, they want to know.
You know, and that's why we're so grateful to be able to do what we can do is to help get that
People are
word out,
naturally curious.
educational and all of that. And we are so fortunate to have such a large percentage of consumers and guests and clients and readers and subscribers and followers. For all of us here together, just trying to get this ball down the field and this mission that we're in together. But we have a hungry population who are ready for it.
Yeah.
Like, let's do this. Let's do it again, you know.
Absolutely. And we're so grateful for both of you for chatting with us
thank
too.
you.
Yeah, cheers.
So
Thanks for
lovely.
choosing us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
no,
lovely.
it's, you know, it's easy with you guys.
Well, I wanted to say before we close out two things, is that when's the book coming out?
Yeah.
Because I hear a lovely book. You know, I'm.
That's her
into-
jam.
Yeah,
That's
it's my
jam.
And
It's a
secondly,
long-term goal for sure.
it should be. I mean, yeah, get it. You got it going. And then I'm gonna say something corny.
Do it.
I love it.
You guys, your blend is so powerful. The two of you together.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Deb.
Thank you. Are you going to tear up? Because I'm gonna.
Yeah, and I didn't know. Like I thought, do I say this? Is it too corny? But I thought, forget it. I'm just gonna say it. He can cut it if he.
Yeah, he's got the power.
We need the reminder.
We need
Yeah,
the reminder because
yeah.
sometimes it's just we're just going.
Oh,
you know,
sure,
off of
sure.
few-
Oh, girl, I'm an only child.
Beautiful.
Trust me, this is, you know.
Love it.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
beautiful.
you guys are great.
Well, cheers.
All right, cheers,
Yeah.
guys.
Okay, yes,
Cheers.
cheers.
Sorry, I didn't bring my
Absolutely,
glass.
that's all right.
All right, first one of the Organically Grown Wine Conference, coming from that cool ass coffee clutch of 40 to 45 organic wine grape growers, bringing it all to you. Very stoked to be here today. Very stoked the people we got to talk to.
Yeah.
Very stoked for the opportunity that this is coming and how it's going to hit on the people.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good to see you both.
Thank you.
Thanks,
so
John.
much.
Thank you, Deb.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you to Alexandra for doing this, and Drew and Amy, and
Thank you, Dean.
Thank you,
Rob.
Dean back there, and Rob, and yeah, all the people that are back that helped put this all together, and the wineries that were here, and those grape farmers that are here, and those labels, and those guys. Jared the sheep.
Yes. The sheep deserve a spotlight.
Yeah. Thank you, Dean. Hey, all, we will see you out there. Peace and water. We love you. Thank you.
Cheers.